Statman, on my level, you could be the greatest individual in football history.
We are back with another video, and today I'm joined by a very, very special guest, Mr. Adam Matic TV. How you been?
All right, mate. All right. Busy and dealing with an awful lot. Like I just said then off camera, we just had our first rain here in Manchester in over a week. I think we got a week's worth in 10 minutes, but that's Manchester for you, mate. So it goes down.
Because I can't lie, right now it is still absolutely boiling in London. But listen, we move. I can't really complain about the heat right now.
No. I was down your neck of the woods yesterday, actually, working North London. And you're right, mate. I think about 9:30 in the morning, it was about 30 degrees. Crazy.
Yeah, the worst is the night kind of thing, isn't it? But let's get right into it. Paul Pogba, 5 potential replacements. Because the thing is, with Paul Pogba, we know he's either leaving this summer, which I'll be honest, like a couple weeks ago, I said no, he's not leaving. But after Wijnaldum's comments today, he was talking about Pogba, innit? And for me, it's kind of like whenever the opposition team talk about the player, there's something happening. Barcelona do it all the time. They've done it with Coutinho. Their players kind of came out, their legends came out, started talking about how brilliant Coutinho is, and they eventually got him. And it looks like PSG are doing the same with Paul Pogba. Do you think he'll leave this summer?
You know what, mate? The more I look at it, not only do I think it'll happen, I think it's going to make more sense to the football club in the end, because he's now obviously into his last year. And how we got to that stage, I do not know. But him and his team now, like you said, then people start talking. Guarantee the people behind the scenes at PSG will be straight into Pogba's agent. Let's make some noise here. So either way, Mino Raiola's going to get an absolute mint out of this, because rumours about PSG, he's only going to be good for Pogba in his team, especially Raiola right now. And you're right, mate. This is how they do it. It means he's got a good rapport with Neymar. He gets on well with all these big names, obviously Mbappe as well. And you know what? He's probably thinking, I'll go there, less pressure, finish my career earning a mint, probably have a better chance of winning the Champions League and get some more trophies before I end up retiring or going to some form of MLS, I'm guessing, or something like that. Pogba, I can see that's where he's going to end up, mate, something like that.
And I think under Pochettino, like this is PSG's best chance of winning the Champions League, and I can't really blame Paul Pogba for kind of wanting to leave, because let's be honest, as much as I rate Pogba, he's wanted to leave for the last 2 years. Which is why I have to give him credit, because he has kind of dealt with it in like a respectful way. He hasn't really like forced himself out, which I kind of have to commend. But it's kind of like United, we kind of messed up. I don't think this deal.
Oli, I think he's done it through respect for Oli. I think because of his past with Oli. I think he has got. I think he has got respect for Oli. I think that's the only reason why I think he's played for him, played under him, because of what he did when he was younger. But you're right, mate. It is, isn't it? He's not really pushed for it, but they're the worst ones, aren't they? Because you don't know what's happening, and you just see that contract just draining away and just slowly running out of years. Now we're down into months, and now you're starting to worry, aren't you, that we could have egg on our face and Pogba leaves on a free for the second time.
I don't think the club will let it. I think kind of like the club are probably going to prepare to kind of lose him this summer, innit? Like, they want the money. They're a business at the end of the day, so I can't really blame them for that. But the club have messed up getting Pogba in this situation anyway. But the first player from the 5 that I chose that could potentially replace Paul Pogba is Milinkovic-Savic, because Milinkovic-Savic has been linked with as the Pogba replacement for a couple seasons now. What do you think of Milinkovic-Savic?
He's one of them, isn't he, mate? He's a different type, I think. And do you know what this comes down to, Statman? This comes down to what type of player you want, because we tried to squeeze Pogba on the left, we try to bring him inside, but now Bruno's there. We tried to play him in the double pivot, and it's obviously not working in the Premier League. So really, you've got to look at it and go, what type? Are we going to go solid and then go attacking in front of that? And what type of player are you going for? Because that opens it up completely then. But then you're looking at it going, Milinkovic-Savic, he deserves a chance probably on a bigger stage. Are we going to be the ones? And you know what? It's a tough one to call, mate. It really is, because he's coming in now under Paul Pogba. Whoever comes in is replacing the main man, isn't it?
One of the best midfielders in the world.
Exactly. So you've got to look at characters as well. I don't think it'll faze someone like Milinkovic-Savic, but we've got to just say, look, all right, we've got to accept that he's not going to be able to pass, score, and carry the ball like Paul Pogba. If you can accept that, then I think you've got half a chance. It's just that all the Pogba lovers now are just going to go, oh, look at this here. This is what a stupid mistake this club have made. This is why Ollie's not fit for the job because he's replaced him with him. And for me, you've just got to accept that Milinkovic-Savic is not Paul Pogba, and you will probably have a good player there, mate. But I know this fan base. You know this fan base, Statman. You know what's coming, mate. You just know it. But he's a good player. He's good. He's robust, and I think Ollie likes that robust type of player.
I think he's 6'3", 6'4", or something. And I think with Milinkovic-Savic, he's got 8 goals, 9 assists there in the league. He does have that creative side, the goals to his game. And I think with the 5 players I've chosen here, I still don't think a potential midfielder, Pogba, Bruno, one holding midfielder, no matter who the holding midfielder is going to work under Oli. So it's kind of like Milinkovic-Savic, is he more defensively disciplined than Paul Pogba? You could probably argue yes. And like the 5 players that I've chosen they've got defensive capabilities about them, innit? Because the thing is here, if we're looking at a midfield 3, if Pogba stays, Pogba, Bruno, and whoever it is not balanced. Which is why I kind of like, Bruno's the main guy attacking midfielder in the side. Milinkovic-Savic will play a bit deeper than probably Bruno. And then obviously you have the holding midfielder.
Yeah, this is it, mate. This is where I think Jack Grealish would actually flourish at Manchester United more than Manchester City.
You think that about Jack Grealish? Because I can't lie here.
I think because Pep tries to fit them into his way and change players to how he wants them to play, Ollie just lets them run wild for me. And that's like,
I hear that, yeah, but where would you play Jack Grealish in the side?
Say again, sorry.
I hear that, yeah, about Jack Grealish, and I do agree with what you're saying about the Pep Guardiola thing. But where would you play Jack Grealish for Manchester United right now?
I'd change the formation up, but I'm not saying that I'd take Jack Grealish now because I think we've got too much up front, to be honest. But for me, I just feel like that's what Ollie's doing. You just said it then, Statman, when you said he's putting in the solid base behind Bruno Fernandes because he wants Bruno to have that free role. He doesn't want to really challenge him. He wants him to run wild, which is what Bruno does. So we can all see what good he does. We all know how many chances he creates, but let's be honest, he has got a free role in that team. He's not disciplined in where he sits. So that holding midfield, I think he's going to go solid there, mate. I think that's what he's looking at because Bruno's going to play every single game. We know this. And what's behind him, do you know what? If he got a better centre-back, we're more solid at the back, would he sort of come away from 2 holding midfielders? I think he's going to go solid in it, mate. I do. I think it's not going to be creative-wise. I think it's going to be robust.
Because the way I was thinking, I think maybe we might start this season with a 4-3-3, but it's kind of like last season. If we have one bad result or one hammering, I can see Ollie going back to McFred or whoever the new holding midfielder is if we sign one kind of thing, which is what I'm scared about.
Exactly, mate. He's going to shit the bed, isn't he? If we get a Spurs result. We spoke about this, didn't we, not too long ago? And it's true. This is what happens. Van Gaal did exactly the same thing. I think that game Van Gaal did it was the 4-2 at Leicester when Di Maria, or was it 5-3? Something like that. It was a crazy game. Di Maria scored an absolute worldie in that game, chipping Michael. But we went completely downhill, and then everything changed at the football club. It looked like we were getting the best out of Di Maria, Van Persie. Everyone looked like it was great, but at the back, it just fell apart. And that's when Van Gaal sort of thought, I can't trust this defence. And all he spent, how much has he spent on this defence trying to get it right? Is he trying to get the defence solid enough so he can actually play around with the midfield more? Because it all looks like it's the protection layer, doesn't it? It's like he's got the safeguard in front of him all the time, and that's what we all moan about. But for me, it comes down to the signings of, if the defender comes in, will that change things? How he starts the season off, mate, your guess is as good as mine. I'd love to see 4-3-3. It's what this football club is all about. But 4-3-3 can be adaptable. It doesn't have to be rigid. You can actually play defensively and attacking with 4-3-3 if you put the right personnel on. But this is it. Again, we're all going to ask the question about formations, tactics, in-game tactics. And as Ollie learned.
Because I think with the 4-2-3-1, it's kind of like It depends who you have in a double pivot. You can't have like two static midfielders, and you can't have two runners in McFred because we always say they do the same job. You need something different. It's kind of like, for me, we'll get onto Ruben Neves here because we've been linked to Ruben Neves. Say if we have Ruben Neves and Fred in the midfield too, that's a different story because at least with Ruben Neves, you have a decent ball progressor.
Yeah.
Which is different, which is why I wouldn't mind Ruben Neves, even though I'm not his biggest fan.
I mean, do you know what, mate? I've said it many a times. I like Ruben Neves. I've watched him every opportunity I've had since Wolves have been in the Premier League. I've been to every single game home and away for Wolves. The guy's a nasty little swine as well, mate. I'm telling you, he has got an evil streak in him, and he's not afraid to put a tackle in as well. But
look at just a reminder to people, yeah. Look at the numbers down at the bottom when talk about Ruben Neves. Over 3 tackles, so sports Adam's point right there.
That's it. He is that type of player, young, and I think he's been hampered at Wolves. I really do. I think he deserves a chance, and at his price, for me, he's a no-brainer. I've said it many a times on my channel. I think Ruben Neves is ideal because he will slot into Manchester United's midfield there, and you can play him one or two ways, and he will be disciplined. He's played under Nuno, who is massive on discipline, and we all know what United and Wolves games are like. It is just full on stalemate. He just gives us absolutely nothing, and Neves plays every single game, so he's not just got his passing and holding and carrying the ball capabilities. He's very, very disciplined in his defensive duties as well. And for me, another set piece expert, which you can never have enough of in a football team. The man is just dynamite. What that guy does with a ball is ridiculous from outside the box. I'm talking corners as well as free kicks, and we know how dangerous he is with free kicks. Just ask David De Gea. For me, I think it's sensible, mate. It's not out there outrageous, hold the back page tackle thing sort of signing, but do you know what? I think he will go somewhere else this summer. I think it will be someone in the top 6.
Yeah, my problem with Ruben Neves is kind of like, say if we do switch to the 4-3-3, I don't know if he can hold the midfield by himself with a Pogba and a Bruno.
There you go.
That's my biggest risk, which is why I'm kind of like, if Ruben Neves does sign, play like a Fred, because Fred has that mobility around him to support whoever the third midfielder is, if it's Pogba, if it's Bruno.
Exactly, mate. You just said it there. It's like if he does change the formation, you're buying Ruben Neves, you're pretty much committing yourself to the 4-2-3-1, I think. So if he's going to go with that and persist with that, which this team knows a lot about, Ruben Neves plays that system week in or week out, and we've seen how deadly he is. And I'm saying that system would work better with the attacking prowess that we have got, rather than in Wolves. And that's why I think he's being hampered. I think he's being held back. And the forward line just haven't been good enough for Wolves. And I think he's just been... He's the forgotten man. He's the forgotten man. He's still young as well, mate. I think he's 23, 24, is he? Something like that.
Yeah, because I think when he first came in to Wolves, he came from Porto, I think it was, in it. And I think he captained Porto at quite a young age, I think he was. So he had a lot of hype coming into it. And I don't think... The thing is that with Neves, I don't think he's fully lived up to the hype kind of thing. But I don't know if it's obviously the Wolves system kind of hampering him, or he's just not as good as people think.
Well, this is it. A lot of them Wolves players have just gone off the boil a little bit, haven't they? I mean, if you as a midfielder supplying the front line lose Jota and Jimenez for over half a season, then you're going to be made to look quite average, I think, because as good as the players have been to replace him, they've not been fantastic. They ain't Jimenez, who the ball sticks to like glue, by the way. He's another one who I hate. But he's just a brilliant centre forward, old school centre forward.
And he's back now as well from the head injury.
Yeah, and Jota, who's just an absolute nightmare. I just feel like you're always going to struggle. So for me, I think Jota's held Liverpool together this season, big time. It shows how good he was. And then you lose Jimenez, who's been their leading goal scorer for 2 seasons. I don't think any of their midfielders really had stood a chance second part of the season. And it was no surprise that they drifted away. There's just no end product in there. Whereas with United, you've got Bruno in front of him feeding Cavani, Greenwood, Rashford, Martial, Sancho. It's frightening. It's frightening. It has to click. And Neves, Bruno link up through the middle. Not only the worst combo in the world.
The next player on my list here to replace Paul Pogba. This is an interesting one because I think we were linked with him yesterday, innit? Leon Goretzka. Because I've always said it this year. I'm a massive fan of Leon Goretzka. I've always said his late runs into the box are unbelievable. The way he times them. Because the thing is, when you're a defender and someone's making a late run, you can't react quick enough. And he's mastered that to a T kind of thing. I would love Leon Goretzka. What are your thoughts on him?
Scholes-esque, you could say. That late run into the box, into it. You know what? I think you're born with that talent. I don't think you can coach that. You have to be a reader of the game. And you know what? This is, looking at it from a defensive point of view again, this is what I always said about defenders. If you can read the game, you don't need any pace at all. You've just got to know when to go, when to hold back, and when to just hover. And you know what? He'll do that as well. I've not seen loads of him, I'll be honest. I've only seen snippets. Obviously, I've seen him in the Euros as well. And for me, I think, again, it's looking like United are the ones who can offer more in wages. Is that a worry? Our players dictating to us that they need to be paying this much for me to come and play for Manchester United, or does he really want to come and play for Manchester United? We know what the Germans are like for leaving their own town. They don't really like going abroad, do they? They like that Bundesliga. And you know what? We've brought in a few players from that Bundesliga who haven't been German, but still from the Bundesliga, who have failed, in the likes of Kagawa, Mkhitaryan. Very similar sort of, you could say, style attacking midfielders who just flopped at Manchester United. But Goretzka, an out-and-out German, I don't even know if we've ever had a German in the team, mate. I'm not going to lie. Schweinsteiger, the only one. I mean, that could have been one for your quiz, that, couldn't it? But it's
listen, Adam wants the easy questions. We don't do easy questions here.
I've heard. But no, it could well be that one, mate. Someone, do you know what, mate? Look at it the way you said it there, the late runs. Wouldn't that link in well with the Bruno style game? Because he can see that pass. Maybe someone who can make that run for that pass would benefit us.
Yeah, for the people in the comments as well, I didn't include any DMs because I think we need a DM no matter what, even if Pogba stays kind of thing, innit?
That's a given.
A given. I big up Param Benning, probably butcher that name, sorry. Forget Pogba, his head's in Paris, 4-3-3, Donny's time to sign. Get a solid DM and change the style and keep the ball, play cute football and we ball out. What do you think of that? Donny van der Beek as the replacement for Paul Pogba?
I'd play Donny in the pivot. I'd like Donny in the pivot. If he plays enough games, I think he would adapt to it. He's played there before. He's played there for Ajax. And you know what? I think he's got the energy for it. He's never had match fitness at Manchester United because he's never been given the chance. Whether United are thinking, oh, Pogba's going, that then gives us money to go and get the centre-back. But if Donny's dropping back in, does that then give Ollie the opportunity to say, well, look, we've got the ready-made player. You all wanted me to play him. So now we've got Donny in the double pivot and we don't go out and buy an out-and-out DM. And then we've got Donny, McTominay, Fred, Matic for the season. Is that enough to win you the title? Because that's the levels that we've got to be looking at this season. I don't think that's ready. Donny in time, Donny with a proper, like a Declan Rice sort of character next to him, who is disciplined, I think could be very, very effective. Fred next to him or McTominay, not so much.
I think with Donny, it's kind of like the more possession-based style of football that we play, we see the better of Donny van der Beek. Because I think, was it not the last game that we played Wolves, I think it was in the season, and he played next to the Man U match, I think he was. And obviously, I think we had a lot more of the ball that game. And you saw Donny van der Beek look right.
Yeah. Ball retention players in that game, mate, wasn't it? It was like Mata, Donny, Matic, all players who can look after the ball. It's not lightning. It's not fantastic. It's not great to watch. Well, not for me. But you could say that style of football makes him look good. Does that style of football wins the league? Therefore, does Donny van der Beek come in if we're not playing that style of football? Does it make him look like what all the coaches are saying, not ready for playing in the Premier League? Well, maybe that's the case. I don't see Ajax being a boring footballing team. I see them quick flowing, quick passing and moving the ball nicely. So I'd have thought there would have been no excuse for Danny. I thought when he came in, he was ready-made for us, mate. But we're not seeing somewhat on the training ground that this coaching setup is, and it baffles me. I just don't know how a player from playing in the Champions League, who's a dead cert in the Holland team starting sheet, cannot get in front of Fred and McTominay. I like many United fans, just scratching my head last season with that one. I don't know. I don't think he can play any further forward because we've just got too much up there. It has to be in the hole, mate, or nothing for Donny.
I think with Donny van der Beek, the only real excuse I can give Ollie is kind of like the physique. He's not. The thing is, he don't run around like a Fred and McTominay kind of thing because he's an intelligent player. He conserves his energy, makes the right movement kind of thing. And I don't think Ollie really appreciates those kind of footballers kind of thing, if that makes sense.
Yep, no, that does, mate, because we've seen that in the likes of Mata. We've seen that, Donny van der Beek. We've seen it in a couple of players who aren't going to put in blood and thunder. I mean, our coverage of the pitch in terms of mileage is right up there with the best for the season. That is pretty much the Ollie style. He's got workhorses in there. And he's just tried to mix it up by putting in like a Pogba and a Bruno. I mean, Bruno probably works harder than anyone, to be honest, in terms of what he covers. But you need that sort of guile next to it as well. And that's where I think he struggled to balance it. He's not managed to find the Pogba position. And we know how good Pogba is because not playing in the right position, he's still shone. So that's the type of player you've got. But he's probably looking at it as well now. Pogba going, man, is he going to bring anyone else in this season? Is it time for me to go? A lot of this, what we're talking about, is probably what Pogba and his team are probably saying. Look, mate, you've got one more big move, I think. And his brothers, his entourage, his agent, they're all saying to him, look, you're going to be playing next to Verratti, Neymar, Mbappe, or McTominay, Fred, and a Rashford or Martial. Do you know what I mean?
Hey, the levels are staggering. But I just realised this was my first super chat on the channel as well. So big.
Yes.
Power him up as well. Thank you for that.
Top man.
The next player on my list here, this is a bit of an interesting one because it's kind of like, can we get him? But I think stylistically, he could be very similar to Paul Pogba, and that's Tanguy Ndombele. Because Tanguy Ndombele, I think he's a brilliant player, but I just don't think under Tottenham he's fully worked out kind of thing. What do you think of him?
You know what? I don't think Ollie will go near him because of what Jose Mourinho's had to deal with him. Putting him out to be a trouble. Although saying that could be a quick role reverse because Ollie's gone against what Jose said with Luke Shaw. He's done the same thing with Ndombele as well. So,
and the thing is, he kind of has a rivalry with Jose, innit? So you never know. He might want to prove
him right. Yeah, want to prove him wrong. Sorry, and just say, look, this is what you can get out of these players because Ollie's not a disciplinarian. We know this. He's not a Jose Mourinho or Pep Guardiola. These players have got quite a lot of freedom from what I can see. Yeah, there will be instructions, but I think the flair players actually benefit playing under Ollie for their own personal gain. Maybe it's at a sacrifice to the team at stages, but I think flair players under Ollie, I think they're having a grand old time because I don't think there's any discipline there. I'm not saying he doesn't get the hairdryer out now and then and say certain things, but look at what we've all talked about with Bruno, with some of the forwards. There's no real sort of backlash from it. They come straight back in the next week and they'll probably win him a game. Rashford stays on the pitch playing awful, but gets winners. That's how he likes to play his game. He trusts in them to actually make something happen. So for me, it's as much as a bigger season for Ollie and what he does. Does he trust the players or does he try and be a bit different when I think it's his last year? And it's going to be a tough one to see. I just think he's going to try and fill the team with winners. That's what I think.
Because I think you mentioned that last time, innit? And I'll be honest, once I thought of it, you're kind of right. Because Donny van der Beek last time had 1 trophy. Telles, 1 trophy. Cavani, 0 winner kind of thing. Yeah. So you are kind of right with that. Someone said Ndombele doesn't work hard enough here. I do kind of hear that. But for me, it's kind of like, for me, the best of Paul Pogba is when he carries the ball. He's unbelievable at driving and carrying the ball up the pitch. Ndombele, for me, is probably the closest thing in that central midfield area that can do that to Paul Pogba in the Premier League.
Does he need that? Does he need the arm around him type of manager like Ollie? It could benefit him. Could well benefit him. One of the
You
best
never.
players that I thought United should have tried to get was Dembele from Spurs before he went. I
Facts.
thought he was absolute mustard, that guy. I hated playing against him. He was quality and massively underrated. But again, you know what? Someone like Ndombele, it's one of them. It's a shout. No one would really expect it, but a type of player with a strength. And you know what? Like I said, not under a manager who wants a certain style, a certain discipline, and amount of ground covering. Maybe you would flourish if you put a workhorse next to him like Ollie likes. That might be the one, the in-between sort of Pogba and a worker like Ndombele. It's a fair shout. It's a fair shout, and he's got a return as well, hasn't he? He can score goals. The man can score goals. I think he scored one of the goals of the season at Bramall Lane. That was just a phenomenal goal.
Oh yeah, I think I know which one you're talking about. Yeah,
Absolute brilliance. That was probably one of my favourite goals of the season.
Someone said you ain't getting Ndombele out of Spurs. The thing is, with Ndombele, you never know, because I think there was a report coming out a couple of weeks ago that it's kind of like they were linked with the Aouar Ndombele potential switch. I don't think that will properly materialize, but it's kind of like you never know. Ndombele might not be in Nuno's plans. You never know, and then maybe we have a chance because in terms of like for like replacements, he's kind of close to it.
I see Nuno playing other players in front of Ndombele.
I think it just depends because I think he will play a back three in it. If he
and
plays
going as well, isn't it? I've heard Lamella's
ton of fans are happy with that.
Yeah, man.
Someone said Tielemans. You read my mind. Tielemans is the next man on the list. What do you think of Tielemans?
Only if, mate. Only if. If we had anything about us, this man would already be in a red United shirt, mate. Because he wanted to come to United and he went to Leicester. I just think anyone who's in that team playing alongside Kevin De Bruyne and holding his own and starting. This is a guy who plays in a team with the midfield talent that Belgium have got, and he starts every game. Say no more. Do you know what I mean? If you can hold your own in that team, he's already winning things. He's won more than a lot of this United team has in the FA Cup. Do you know what I mean? So I would take him in a heartbeat, mate. I really would. I think his positional sense is ridiculously good. He's always available and he always finds the holes. He plays in between the lines brilliantly. I think we've seen that in the FA Cup game.
We saw it in the FA Cup final to the biggest extent.
Yeah.
Tielemans was unbelievable that game.
Picks it up, mate, in the best positions, and he's got a pass, he's got a shot, he's got everything about him. He can carry a ball, and he's used to the Premier League. But we probably have our pants taken down by Leicester again. I think we just paid for their whole training ground. I think they'll probably buy everyone's private jets for the way United spend money, mate, if we went for someone like him.
Big up to Ads as well for the super chat. Big up to you both. Keep grinding, boys. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Yeah, people are saying Tielemans carried by Ndidi. It's kind of like Tielemans has the freedom to pick the ball up and kind of, I wouldn't say carry, I'll say spray the passes, because for me, he's almost like a deep line playmaker in my eyes.
Tielemans, what you've got there, mate. Yeah, what you've got there is what we're all after, that balance of a double pivot. A carry drops back in still, but indeed he does and can hold a two-position role on his own. He's that good. I think to be honest, I think indeed he drifted a bit towards the end of the season. Wasn't playing great, in my opinion, towards the end, but he's done enough in the bank already to say, look, I think he's shouting at the bigger clubs, mate, to come and get him. I think he's ready to go.
I've always said, I think on the ball, I think he's unbelievable, which is why I've always said, someone like Manchester City here, if you have an opportunity to sign Tielemans, go get him. I think he's that good, which is why I'm kind of like Manchester United. I know Manchester City, Pep Guardiola will love him. United, please go and get Tielemans, because I think a couple of years ago, before he went Leicester, he had a £40 million fee, and I think we were linked with him. We were just too slow to react.
Yeah, it was.
Which is frustrating. And I think the last player on my list, this is a bit of an interesting one. I don't know what you think of him, but Nicolo Barella from Inter Milan.
Ooh, now he had an all right Euros, didn't he? Let's be honest. I think, for me, I would say no. I don't think it's what we need right now. I know the qualities that he has got, but I just don't see it being a United type of move this right now. At another time, I think possibly yes, but I just feel like we've got enough of that type of player. Anyway, it's not. It's one of them in between ones. I'm stuck in between that because I know players that I would prefer above him, and that's sort of clouding my judgment on it. I'm not wanting to slag the guy off or say he's not good enough because he has shown qualities that obviously wins in major trophies. It's as simple as that. Another winner, but I just think there's other people ahead of him.
The only reason I said Barella, yeah, because I think when he first broke through at Cagliari, he was more of a holding midfielder. So this, and I think this season for Inter Milan, he's obviously played a bit more advanced role, and I think he's got 3 goals and 7 assists in the league, which is why I'm kind of like, maybe Oli will like his tenacity in the midfield to partner someone like, because for me, yeah, if we don't get a holding midfielder, I think Scott McTominay will play that role. Scott McTominay, Barella, and then a Bruno Fernandes, that's not... To be honest, Scott McTominay's in the midfield, so it's not great, but...
Ollie would like his work rate, mate. You're dead right about that. And like you said, then the guy knows. I mean, what is it? League and Cup and your European Championships in 1 year. I mean, and Inter Milan are looking to cut the wage bill and are looking to raise funds. So, you know what? When you break it down sensibly, it's not a bad shout. I just don't see United thinking that way. I really don't.
But yeah, this is the problem with most of these things. It's kind of like United, we know what kind of player is probably going to come in. If we do, actually, the problem is, if Pogba goes, do we know if we're going to get a replacement? That's the first question. That should be the answer. Second question should be, is Camavinga or Donny van der Beek the replacement? You never know. What do you think of Camavinga, just quickly, as a replacement for Paul Pogba?
Again, another one of them. Don't expect him to come in and do Paul Pogba things yet, and he'll be fine. He's one for the future, and maybe he'll hit the ground running and be the next superstar. But just do not hype pressure on the lad coming in. Again, a young French lad who is pulling up trees and playing really well, to come into a club of United stature and replace probably one of his idols with that pressure on top of him on the season when all the fans come back. I'd like the player. I just would not expect. Do you know what? I don't think he'd start the game, mate. I don't think he'd start. I don't think he would be in Ollie's idea of playing in the hardest games. I don't think he'd play the big games.
But I think that, say Pogba does stay for another year, signing Camavinga this year and maybe keeping him or developing him for next season could potentially work out. Because that's what a lot of big clubs do. They replace perfectly, innit? We saw, I think Man City do it perfectly. Whenever they're going to get rid of, for example, a David Silva, they already had Bernardo Silva the season before, kind of preparing for that role. If we can do that with Camavinga, that would be brilliant for me.
I mean, that's how properly run football clubs work. But is Myrtle, Fletcher, the new system, Ed Woodward not being there, going to use that blueprint as such into United? I mean, it does look like we're making sensible moves this summer, but how much damage has already been done that these guys have to sort of repair before we can get into that smooth sort of transitional period of transactions and transfer window and then integrating players in? That's my worry. It's like, how much damage has Ed Woodward done already? And we know, because look at Deadwood that's hanging around and the players that are probably going to get in the way of a Camavinga. I mean, Ollie's got an allegiance to some of these players that I just do not understand. And I would see him playing Scott McTominay and Fred ahead of him. I would.
I actually do kind of agree with that. I think for the first season, if we do sign Camavinga, I still think Fred and McTominay will be the main midfield
if Pogba
three.
Stayed and Camavinga came in, I'm with you, mate. I think that's more than sensible. Because I don't think United will make the same mistake. They put him on a massive contract, put him out of reach of everyone. And you know what? If we do end up losing Pogba, I don't think the blow is as big if you've got someone who's been learning his trade for a season, then comes in with a year experience ready to rock. I don't think that then looks... I think it saves us face a little bit if Pogba does end up going on a free.
Yeah, but it's kind of like no matter. The thing is that with the 5 players, it's kind of like any player that comes in for Paul Pogba is a downgrade, isn't it? We just kind of have to accept at this point, and it's kind of like
Exactly that.
we just need to hope when Paul Pogba goes, we try and get a more balanced midfield three. I think that's the biggest positive. If Paul Pogba leaves, it solves Ollie's issue of trying to have Pogba and De Bruyne in the same midfield.
Yeah, definitely, mate. 100%. It's just an acceptance, but like I said earlier on in the video, I don't think some United fans will accept it, and that's where it's wrong. They just want they look at it as going, that's the Pogba replacement. I want to see the same things, and the lads just, you know what I mean? He's up against it, and it's not fair. But us sensible ones would go, look, I see what they're doing with this. But I just don't know how he would handle the pressure. It's the ultimate question. When he puts that red shirt on, like any player, can he handle what's coming his way? Because it doesn't end when you walk off the pitch with United. The pressure comes off it. And that's if you know if the player is going to make it. There's some players now that are just buckling under that, and we know who they are. And we've seen players just completely, careers just absolutely go down the Swanee playing for Manchester United. It's just affected them that much.
I love that everyone's literally slating Scott McTominay in the comments. Just love that. I don't know why people are talking about Scott McTominay, but fair play to you, look, violating him. It's Mirror reporting Pogba has rejected the £50 million United contract and is set to leave this summer, which is why this video came out at the perfect time, you could say. United, be watching. But big up everyone for watching. Big up for Adam for joining me. And these are the 5 players that will go with to replace Paul Labille Pogba. In the comments, write your 5 because this should be interesting to see. But anyways, go sub to Adam Matic TV if there's anything you want to plug. Go ahead.
Yeah, anytime. Adam Matic TV is my channel. I just did a short little video earlier on today explaining why I've not been doing much recently and how hard times are right now and what's been going on in my personal life. So yeah, if you want to know all the nitty-gritty shit going on, then just give that one a bit of a sub. And obviously the socials are the same tags, Adam Matic all on Twitter and on Insta.
Yeah, the links for his channel should be in the title, so go give him a sub if you're not already subbed to Adam. But anyway, big up everyone for watching. Thank you very much.